Join me today as we go through the book of Psalms. Today we're looking at chapter 18, and I get really, really excited when I look at chapter 18 because it's a song of victory. Who would not want to get excited about that? It's a song that David sang to the Lord when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. That's the title of Psalm 18. And it's great. And it's one of those, I would encourage you, if there's ever a chapter that if there's ever a time that you need to be uplifted spiritually and you don't know where to read, I would encourage you to read this is one of those chapters I would encourage you to read. Because when you read through this, as you're coming to the end, you cannot help but feel the power and the glory and the majesty and the faithfulness of God. And that's what it is. I don't even know how to start, how to break it down. So we go through this together. It's got 50 verses, but what I'll do is, number one, I think state that first and foremost that this chapter, these words are also written in 2 Samuel 22, and it was at that time that God, as the title said, had delivered David from the hand of Saul and from his enemies. He could not help but sing and glorify God. And the whole chapter is broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is from Charles Spurgeon, the way he looked at it. So for verse 1 and verse 1 to verse 3, I'll read these ones. It says, I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold. I called on the Lord who is worthy to be praised and have been saved from my enemies. That's just amazing. That's just amazing. So the way Spurgeon broke this down is like from verse 1 to 3, it is about David resolving to bless God for what God has done in his heart. From verse 4 to verse 19, he sort of like recounts how God, when he called on to God from heavens heard and he rose up, and the whole, he dramatizes the whole thing about God coming down, but the whole essence is God lifted him up out of his troubles and set him up on a rock. And that's from verse 4 to 19. And then from verse 20 to 28, he continues on to give thanks to says, God, he did right. God did justice because I was never in the wrong, which has been something that we've talked about in the past chapters, where David confesses to God that, search me and know, see if I've done anything wrong. Actually, it fits in very nicely into chapter 17, because he said that I want you to save me, I want you to vindicate me. And here in 18, he's coming out, he says, God, you really have done it, and you've done it right because I never did anything wrong. So that's 20 to 28. But from 29 to verse 45, David now is just recounting the deliverance and talking about the future victories, how God gave his enemies to him, and he beat them small as the dust. I love it. I pursued my enemies, I overtook them, I thrust them through so they were not able to rise, they fell under my feet. It's just amazing. I'm getting carried away. But from verse 46 to verse 50, it is like a prophetic triumphant of the Messiah, talking about Jesus now. And I know that verse 2 and verse 49 have been quoted in the New Testament as Jesus having said those words as well. So there's a lot to talk in, but here's the thing. If you've been following me, the one thing that we've been talking about is crying out to God and asking God for deliverance and waiting on God. And this is not like the testimony, but the evidence of that. When you call on God and wait on him, he really does vindicate you. He really does come through for you. And that's what he did for David. When Saul and all the enemies came up against him, even though he never did any wrong, he never fought back. When you know the story of David and Saul, he had so many instances where he would have killed Saul, but he never did, because he knew God is the one who's going to vindicate him, and he's done. For you and me, number one, let's continue to rest on God and trust in him. Number two, we gotta praise God. We gotta worship him. We gotta call on his name. We gotta say, you are my Lord, my rock, my fortress, my deliverer, my rock, in whom I trust. That's Psalm 18. God bless you.